Just logging in right now, guys. Just give me a second. Let's everyone. Okay, Alun's here, George here, Peter here. Okay, Tony's here, Sohaib is here. Is Stefan coming on?
Hi, Jay, I'm here.
Hey, Tony, how are you doing, man? Nice shirt. Prepared. Anyone know if Stefan's joining us and Roman?
Yes, Roman too. So hi, Priya. Andreas, hi.
Hello, check it out. It's like 6:30 here. early morning.
Dedication right there.
Yeah, Jay, Stefan coming a little bit late, okay? And ask a questions after the guys. He told me right now. He on the way.
Okay. Max Slim. So should we start?
Okay. Yeah, Roman is coming, I think.
Okay. Hello, Sohaib.
How are you, Janya?
Good, thanks.
Okay.
So Jenya, I don't know if you can see yourself on camera, but most of the time I can't see your chin. Your camera's a bit high, I think.
Okay, sorry, thanks.
No problem,
Sorry,
no
just
problem.
different setup. Tony, are we still waiting for Roman, Tahani, Mark?
Yeah, Roman just wrote me right now. He joined. He's trying to join. Yeah, he wrote me right now in WhatsApp. Yeah, let's wait Roman and start.
Hey, how are you guys?
I'm good. How are things?
Good, all good. Sorry, I'm getting into my car.
Are you playing golf?
Yeah. It's too much windy outside in Dubai. Safe, yes.
Yeah, I'm at Burj Al Arab. I'm just waiting for my car.
I be there 30 minutes ago. Yeah, too.
Hello, guys.
Really?
Yeah, it's winter. What you? Okay. Yeah, it's winter in Dubai. Yes, I can see. Okay,
So,
Roman.
Right?
Roman
Yes,
is here.
yes.
Okay. Jay, we can start. Everyone is here. Yeah.
Okay. Well, hello, everybody. Finally, we've had this AMA. Well, we've been talking about it for weeks. Yeah, I just wanted to say welcome. My name is Jenny J. Hope. I am the Chief Operating Officer at Foster. I would also like to talk about my experience. I've had 10 years experience in building and management teams. I'm very passionate about this project because I'm passionate about the crypto industry. I believe it's going to bring a very valuable segment to the actual Foster project. I would also like to bring up Roman, our Chief Technical Officer and developer, that has a team of 20 specialists that is helping him and on our development with Foster. Sahib, our business development manager with 20 years of experience as well in managing teams. Tony Katz, blockchain advisor and research and development officer. George, our advisor of 30 years of ICT experience and crypto trading. At the moment, we are still waiting for Tahani, our marketing manager. Gutierrez Group, our law firm based out of Colombia, couldn't make it today because of the time difference, but they are lawyers based out of Colombia that will help us to plant trees with a forest management company called Inverbos. Also, our new team member, Peter Farrington, our Chief Sustainability Officer, with 40 years experience in the government sector for environmental studies and research development. Peter has a very extensive background in climate change and environmentally. So, and obviously Alun, our COO of Simba Storage with 35 years in banking experience. So this is our current team right now at Foster, and this is how we're planning to move forward. So I'll just give a little background about Foster. The whole point of the company is we're addressing a problem to the climate change. We're trying to make a difference by planting as many trees as possible in 11 countries. And we're trying to plant 100 million trees in 30 years. So this is our aim and this is our ambition. This is what we're trying to do. So any more questions at the time being, guys, or anything like that? You guys hear me well?
Yeah, everything is good.
Which countries are you targeting?
So at the moment, we're based out of Colombia. We're looking into Georgia, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Poland, and hopefully Russia and Brazil coming up as well.
Okay.
So the company was started in February 2021. That was initial conversations about it. I'll give you a little brief background. So one of our advisors, Munir, the regional vice president of Shell Corporation, picked us up, me and Tony, and we were in the back of his car. And the traffic lights, he decided to brake the car pretty hard. And one of the folders fell out from the back of his car. And me and Tony asked, what's this document? And he said, well, I'm buying forests in Colombia and I'm gonna sell it for CO2 credit. For us, it was, wow, that's a very interesting conversation. Let's talk. So we went for dinner that night and we decided, how can we integrate this project by using blockchain technology? Since everybody knows Anton's background, he's been doing this for years, and he's a guru and he's mastermind behind the whole idea, and here we are. It's a very traditional market. It's been done from the 70s. It's nothing new, but no one in the world has done what we're doing. We are actually the first company that is actually using blockchain technology for transparency of buying and planting trees by using the first forest management company like Inverbos. No one has ever done that, and I think that we're the first. Hence why we're trying to push this project as fast as possible. Hey guys, you want to add anything to that as well from your side or anything like that? Or
is there anything we can do to support, to push?
Yes, you can support and push by purchasing tree tokens. So the more trees we plant, we're getting a higher return investment of 40 to 400% to all the FOSS token holders and our investors. So it's basically everybody that is buying the tokens. We are making the world a better place by producing more oxygen, and we're making money for our investors. It's a win-win situation from everybody. And the more people that invest, the higher the return on investment will be for everybody.
And the more we offset our greenhouse
What
effect.
is the level of investment for individuals, I mean? Like what is the lowest or the highest?
So the minimum buy-in is $100, and the highest as much as you can go. Yeah.
Can you elaborate more on the whole flow? I mean, you have 3 tokens. Where is the money going? What's the process here? What's the actual product? Can you elaborate that a little bit more?
Tony, you want to answer that?
No, you can do it better. I can enjoy later.
So basically,
Go
we have 3 tokens, right? So we have the FOSS token, which essentially acts as a share, and it acts as a utility token, which is used to purchase trees. Now, the tree token represents a tree that is actually in one of the afforestation projects that we're working with. Right now, it's only in Colombia, but soon to be more. And the third token is an O2 plus token, which is basically created on the blockchain once we verify the CO2 that has been absorbed by the trees through the means of gold standard certification, which is all managed by our partner in Verbosk. So that's basically the outline of the 3 tokens.
You just said that the FOSS token will be used to buy trees. I mean, there will be probably Colombians on a farm planting a tree. They will not take their salary in FOSS token, obviously. So how does it happen there?
So when you purchase with the FOSS token, the tree price is still being just confirmed, but at the moment we're working with around $30. So basically that $30, 50% of that is utilized for 20% of that goes to FOSS token holders. That's another thing with the FOSS tokens. You are incentivized to hold the FOSS token because you will get a share of the profits when this project, it's everything contributes to everything. So your tree token, 20% goes to FOSS token holders, 30% is used to pay for marketing and, spreading the word, building the community. And the balance 50% is utilized to, operational costs, make sure that these Colombians that you spoke about are getting paid and everything, flows. I mean, there's a bunch of different operations working together. So that's how we're trying to break down and make sure everybody is happy and the whole thing, moves full steam ahead.
If we have allocated, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I have enough questions for later on.
Yeah, so if we just allocated 30% for marketing, that means our marketing will be huge. We will run huge campaigns. 30% is not, it's too much actually.
No,
Yeah,
but keep in mind that we're not just going to be based out of Colombia. We're planning to go in other regions. So at the moment we have hopefully in the future, when all goes right, we're going to have a regional manager at every region, because there's going to be salaries, it's going to be marketing in other corporations, adding more things to the website, doing AMAs, organizing events. We need that kind of fund for people to hear about us around the world.
No, I totally support the percentage. Actually, I'm happy that you have allocated 30% for marketing, but is this going to be only marketing and event, or is going to be including the salaries of each?
Everything, including the salaries, everything.
So not only marketing, it's marketing and say administration.
Yes, and operational cost as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was one of the discussions, gentlemen, that I had with Jay earlier on, is, how we can be transparent with investors in the tokens. Because I think that's a really critical point here, because at the end of the day, the whole point of this project is to provide a transparent way in which people can see that their money is being deployed effectively. Yeah. So to my mind, at this stage, obviously, we've got broad brush descriptions of what money is being used for, how much is being allocated, and so on. But we will have to have a mechanism by which that can be managed, monitored, and reported back to investors, people who put their money into the project. I think the other thing that's quite important as well is that we do a comparative. So in other words, you can deploy $1 here and 30% of it goes here, 20% of it goes there. That's great. How does that compare with you giving it to, for example, all of the NGOs and other companies and organizations out there that are pursuing similar strategies, similar approaches, etc.? And Peter will know much more about this than I do, given his experience. But, you know, a comparative is always useful because it says, well, okay, for every dollar that's deployed, X percentage is going to the real core work, which is the replanting of the trees, yeah? And it's being done in a verifiable, quantifiable way.
Yeah.
Question: how far are you with technicals? Because I would have a lot of blockchain and technical specific questions. How far are you there?
Well, at the moment, so our website is still under development, to be honest, because we're going to have a buy button for tree tokens. And that is currently under development, and it will be run on Ethereum network for the time being. So you understand, we are trying to show ourselves as a very sustainable company. So having higher gas fees and networks that use a lot of electricity is not for us. Me and the team have actually been doing a lot of research on which network we're going to be running it on. We looked at Binance Smart Chain, we looked at Greenbit, we looked at Tron, we looked at on a lot of networks. But we're going to implement the new networks in the near future once after the second round.
Mm-hmm.
To that point, Jay, I may have another suggestion to make as to a further network we want to consider, but we'll take that offline in due course.
Yeah. No, yes, that's exactly what we're trying to aim at. And yeah, we just want to be fully green. So in the future, it will be low energy fees for every transaction that is the lowest of the lowest. That's what we're trying to find. So
Jay,
that will be implemented.
Peter wanted to talk, yes, about sustainability, you told me.
Peter?
Yeah.
Hello? I think.
Yeah, hi, sorry. I'm having a bit of trouble hearing because I've got a lot of aircraft going over my house. Unfortunately, I live right under the plane. So could you just repeat that question? I heard the word sustainability.
No, we just want to talk about more sustainability because not a lot of people are actually aware of the climate and what's really going on. And just so maybe you can share a thought on that.
Okay.
Yep.
Just to step back a little bit from that, in terms of my experience in government, I've been involved in climate change, development of climate change regulations. That was about 15 years ago, which by the government of Canada, I wrote the regulations, and that was the goal of the government then, was to really make a significant impact in terms of our greenhouse gas emissions. It was a big challenge. We did it, but greenhouse gas emissions continue to go up. So the mechanisms that we've used to now, in my experience and my understanding, are not really all that effective. You have international agreements, which are compromise agreements, and the big challenge often with those is you don't get the follow up on the commitments. So commitments are made by countries to invest so much money, for example, to provide financing to developing countries. They make these promises with good intentions, but it never happens. What tends to be left out is the opportunities for individuals like all of us sitting around the table to make a difference. And this, to me, is what's really exciting, because a relatively small investment of, let's say, $100, you can plant 3 trees, and these 3 trees are going to be planted and they're going to be taken care of. I don't know if you've seen tree planting in Dubai or other places, but I see lots of events where the trees are planted, and then after the photos are taken, who knows what happens to the trees? Well, I've seen lots of those trees. They don't last more than 6 months after that. So that's what's really great about this initiative, is that it actually has the opportunity to sustain itself over many, many years, because we have the local community deriving income and improving their own local quality of environment by looking after these trees. Another thing that's really important too, that I really like about this project, which I haven't seen anywhere else, is that it's not just about the trees. The group in Colombia are also concerned about biodiversity. So trees are kind of, let's say, the flagship of what we're doing, but it's all the other species and interdependent species that are important as well, including the soil. And by planting trees and protecting them, we're also looking after the soil, which is a huge sink, a huge place where carbon dioxide and nitrogen is a reservoir. So we actually achieve multiple goals, not just tree planting, not just our own financial benefit directly, but we contribute in many other ways towards sustaining the planet, actually. And I could see this moving very, very fast, because again, working in government, And working for many non-government organizations over the years as well, there's been this kind of lack of power, lack of empowerment, the inability to connect ideas and resolutions and plans with action. It's never happened. The non-government organizations simply don't have the power. The government has the intention, but no means to really deliver. This is the best mechanism I've ever seen or heard of, and I can see that there's some possibilities to fine tune and do some different things. It's the best one I've seen that we can actually start to achieve a real meaningful change in people's lives and communities around the world, but also globally as well. I'm really excited about this. I was saying to Jenya before Christmas, I wish I could find something where I could make a real meaningful difference in what I'm doing. And this is the best I've seen. Sorry, there's another plane going over top there. But if you want to look at what's going on globally in terms of temperature, I actually had a quick look just before the call started. So the 10 warmest years globally on record have been since 2005. So most of the warmest years we've got on record, and that goes back a couple of hundred years, are just since 2005. 9 out of those 10 warmest years are actually since 2010. And if you look at the top 5, they're all since 2015. So the evidence is really, really clear. It's getting warmer. And then the evidence too, in terms of what's going on in terms of the environment. We're hearing, of course, we're paying attention to it as well, but flooding is increasing. The coral reefs are starting to decline. Wildlife populations have dropped, according to the World Wildlife Fund, by about 60%. That's globally. All the major groups, birds, mammals, lizards, fish, all dropped by 60%. Climate change amplifies all the impacts of pollution, for example. And the population of the planet is growing. It's doubled since 1970. Between 1970 and I think about 2018, it doubled. So roughly every 50 years, the population has been doubling, and our footprint is growing and growing. So what can we do to stem it? Well, governments have been trying to do this since 1970. We have all sorts of international agreements like Ramsar Convention to protect wetlands of international importance. That was signed in 1971. So since 1971, the 172 or so countries that are members of the Ramsar Accord to protect wetlands, they've passed 350 resolutions to protect wetlands. That's impressive. And there's unanimous agreement amongst, because it has to be. But since that same time period, 35% of all wetlands have disappeared forever. So that's just one example. And you can look at almost any other kind of agreement where these international agreements, great statements of intention, they don't work. They just simply don't work. There's been something missing. And for me, it's now we've got, I think, the mechanism to actually make that difference. Government and the international community, I believe, will follow the lead from this initiative. I'm really excited about it, actually. It's like I asked for this as a Christmas present, and Jenna called me and told me about it. I really see great possibilities with this, because with each country, with each location, it can be tailored to that country's needs and capabilities as well. It's not like we have to have the same model for every single country. It's impossible. You have different species, you have different conditions, and then you start to grow the trees. You also get many other benefits. Biodiversity will start to benefit as well. There'll be all sorts of other benefits to the local communities and perhaps to us as well as investors in terms of what's grown there. You've got medicines, you've got fruit, you've got other things that can be generated that will benefit the communities as well. And that can even move globally. So this to me is like the start of a snowball that's going to start to roll down the hill, and it's going to grow very, very quickly. And to do the marketing, I think it'll almost start to self-market very quickly. I think it's going to spread so fast because it's really exciting. It's actually a time when somebody can actually say, do I take my girlfriend out for dinner, or do I use that money and buy some tokens and do something about the planet? I think more people will be making that second choice. It's only one dinner. You can always take her out the next night.
100%. Now, thank you for that, Peter. Well, this is why our project is so exciting. We are actually making the world a better place, / we make money for our investment, to our investors. So, Invaborg works with a company called Golden Standards and for Alliance, and they are the station body for CO2 credits. So every year they come to the forest and they measure the amount of CO2 eucalyptus trees have captured. Using the special algorithm, they actually calculate the amount of CO2 credits actually have been released. So then they come to us and they print out the certificates, and then those certificates we sell in the marketplace, and then we're going to give the money back to our investors. So 1,300 hectares of land produces 360,000 tons of CO2 in 10 years. And each metric ton can be sold by $25. So that's 360 plus 25. That's a good amount. It's good return on investment. And that's only for 1,300 hectares. At the moment, the land that we have purchased about to purchase in Vichara region of Puerto Carreño, Colombia, they have over 84,000 hectares of land available. And Enver Bosque said we can buy it anytime that we need, and the land is already ready. So this is why we're trying to push our community to start investing into Foster so we can buy and purchase more lands around Vichara region.
Can I just ask one question on that, Jay? Because you talked about planting eucalyptus. Are we talking about native tree? Are we talking about diversity here? Because to Peter's point, it's kind of important we don't have a unicrop.
So the rule is, so for 1,300 hectares that we buy, only on 1,000 hectares we're allowed to plant. The rest 300 hectares are going to be built for high valuable native trees for biodiversity. And it's untouched land. So, you know, other wildlife that can be survived and preserved, and we're not allowed to build around it. So we're actually planting the trees and we're actually preserving the wildlife around that area.
But I guess my question was slightly different in as much as I'm trying to figure out who, I mean, Peter's obviously a subject matter expert of considerable experience, but do we have subject matter experts on the question of biodiversity as an example? Because if we're going to replant, one of the things we want to be careful of is making sure it's actually achieving what we want, which is both, as Peter rightly said, both items. Yeah.
In that region, we're not really replanting, Alun. We are planting because there's savannas, it's dry land, and there's nothing on it. So Enver Bosque is the one that actually takes care of the whole process from A to Z.
Jay, can I just jump in there as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's actually more my strength than climate. As an example, I worked for 10 years for the Canadian Wildlife Service, and I was a forest biologist for that federal organization for those 10 years. And the prime goal was about biodiversity. So I have actually much more grounding and experience in that. And I really appreciate your question, Alan, because this is really vital to the overall scope of this project. I see the tree planting as really, again, the flagship. It's the start. It's what is manageable from, let's say, a blockchain and a carbon credit perspective. But the roll-on effects in terms of biodiversity generally, I think, is almost limitless. It's really a fabulous opportunity. But I agree with you. It's a starting point, and a balance needs to be taken between trying to grow what grows very well that can generate those carbon sequestration numbers quickly, and with the rest of the ecosystem needs. I think we'll evolve in a good direction.
Thank you, Peter. Very, very well said. I mean, that was really my point, because eucalyptus is obviously, as far as I'm aware, not native to Colombia. We all know why it's used, because it's a very fast-growing species, as I understand it. So therefore, it can be, you know, more rapidly absorbing CO2 and producing oxygen than perhaps some other species. But, you know, the one thing that we don't want to have a finger pointed at us about is we're disturbing or upsetting the balance in any particular area that we're planting, because, you know, that is one of the issues that is, as you know only too well, I'm sure with your experience, has been a critique in the past of tree planting and reforestation programs. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Just to underscore that a little bit, like I did a lot of work with rehabilitation of lands that have been impacted by forest development and forest clearing. And reforestation isn't really reforestation. It's the shifting from a forest ecosystem to a plantation. And you have the potential to lose a lot of diversity that way. And that tends to what happens. But with the Forest Stewardship Council being involved in this project, my understanding, and from what I have already seen about the Colombian group, I don't think we need to be mindful of it, but I think it's quite manageable. I think we can avoid those pitfalls.
And thank you for pointing that out. I mean, my concern is not that we're going to go about it the wrong way with your experience and your expertise. It's more making sure that we're ready for a defense in the event that this gets pointed at us as an accusation, because we all know there are always two sides to every discussion. And I want to be prepared, you know, sorry, it's my banking background coming up. I want to be prepared for the worst case scenario that somebody, you know, says, hold on a minute, you guys are not doing what is actually something that is working for the planet. You're just, you know, making money, doing this, doing that, whatever it happens to be. So I think your credibility and your background is absolutely essential to anchor that and to make it clear that, you know, this is a fully thought through and properly, you know, compliant project, which gives the benefits that we're claiming and that we're maintaining. Yeah.
This is what I meant. See, Jay, he just made a very good point. This is what I meant by when I ask about marketing. You know, we should put a proper marketing plan, especially for the Arabic countries that they don't have such experience on this field. You get me? So we want to put it as very easy for them to understand the project. You know, for us as Arabs, okay, this is something like a unique project. They're not into planting and getting return on it. You know, they're not into this. I'm afraid they will think about it. If we don't position the company and the project very well, they will think about it as kind of money, kind of laundering, something going on.
No, they're going to be like, this is what we have been discussing as well with the team. It's not going to be that, because we're going to actually use proper audit systems. We're going to use proper corporations such as Ernst & Young to do our auditing, to do our numbers, so to show our legitimacy. We're going to be running like a proper company on this. So they can't say that. In fact, I know the governments like to get involved in such projects because you know about the vision of 2040, making Dubai green. It's something that we can speak to the municipality in the future to see that we can help them and hire the right forest management companies such as Enroboscos to come to Dubai and help them achieve their goals.
Yeah, this is what I meant. I think we should do kind of an agreement or partnership. This is part of marketing, by the way, with some government arms, government entities here. Okay, so
and possibly, sorry, and possibly also NGOs, if that's a sensible thing to do. I mean, at the end of the day, and sorry, Sam, I see you wanting to say something, so I'll shut up.
You don't need to shut up, my friend. No, I just wanted to add, first of all, congratulations. I think the project is about time to come. And if you don't do it, somebody else will do it very soon. So I think we are hitting the right time now. The point is how we actually put everything together, what we have discussed. Peter has some good points. SAFE has some good points. Where with one thing, SAFE, I don't agree with you. The experience of the UAE related to environment is in the foundation already of the late Sheikh Zayed. 1971, he started an initiative to plant over 21 million trees within Abu Dhabi. So when you go from Dubai to Abu Dhabi and you see the fencing on the right and left, these are full of trees. He planted over 22 million trees. And the mangroves. This
is something you know and I know, and the government knows. I was talking to our target customer, how they see us from this angle.
No, let's get there. But these are, you know, the point is, for example, the initiative of Masdar, which we have launched, the initiative of the Zayed Future Energy Prize, which we have launched, the World Future Energy Summit, which we have launched. You know, we work a lot on these kind of projects. So, and I feel that it starts from here. We'll get a trust in an international investment interest. It is only about, and this what you said is very right, we need to find the right sophisticated language of marketing it within intelligent content and impact related initiative, and not as a product to make money out of it. Because what I feel, is a danger is we shouldn't need to promote this product as how much money could be made, but which impact we could make with which foundation, which people. And I believe 100%, if this team puts the right advisory board together with the right people that have the credibility and the trust because the community of blockchain is small, the community of crypto is small, the community of environmental protection is small, and people will talk about it within a millisecond. But if we set the standard right, and we can justify our content and our impact we want to make, then I think the first line of investment will come very quickly, and based on that, the rest will come as well. What I would just make sure is that we, and I think the marketing budget is very important to have it high raised, especially in the beginning, but we need to define the word marketing, because marketing is a very much of rate word. And marketing already starts with stakeholder engagement of, as you said, with government authorities, with the right organizations, NGOs to comply with. I'm not a fan of this Ernst & Youngs of the world, because most of them, they just have a bill at the end. You can pay them well and you get the brand on your task. I prefer individuals which have credibility because of their background, and they give you the credibility you want in the market. The Ernst & Youngs of the world, they have no clue. We advised Ernst & Young when I did the Global Summit of Megatrends. They came to us, took my data of an agency and claimed it with their brand on it, and then declared the end of the whole happening. So this is how they work.
Sam, you're absolutely 100% right. I mean, look, we're not talking about a bloody financial audit here. We're talking about credibility, and Ernst & Young and all of the other, so-called credible auditors of such things have got so many issues and challenges about the way in which they do their regular work that, to rely and to trust on that is not enough. That's why I asked the question about NGOs. That's why I asked the question about, credible people like Peter who buy into it and understand and realize what its potential and its capability is, because at the end of the day, that's what's going to get traction in the community. And I think to your point as well, which is very important, the challenge we've got is to distinguish between this project and all of the other 99% of the other projects out there in crypto land, which are, a pile of poo, if you'll excuse me for saying so, and making sure that people understand, that this is serious and it has a really serious benefit. And it's tapping into this really important space, which is, as Peter put it so well, governments struggle to execute. And then you have this challenge of how do private individuals feel that they can have an impact? Well, we are bridging that gap because we're making it a really attractive opportunity for people to do two things in one, which is they can put money into a good cause and see that it's having a direct benefit, and they can earn a return on that money. That's a win-win situation. That's extremely unusual, yeah? I mean, there are not many projects out there that offer that. Most of the ones you see don't offer even close to that. So that's why I was excited about it when I saw it, yeah?
Well, I think to add to this one, it depends which government we are talking with, who are capable to do or not. When you talk about Europe, they're talking about it since ages of years, and they haven't done anything for that. Actually, they're doing it completely in a different side, but they're labeling it on the positive impact they're making, but it goes in the wrong direction. I think the advantage of blockchain is that what we do in comparison to governments is we are decentralized, they are centralized. A centralized organization have to go through a structure, and this structure needs of 10 years of somebody to say yes until you can make an action, and the idea is already then outdated. So since we are decentralized and can do it independently, I think we have the advantage of speed and of efficiency and of as well making the real impact in both ways. Make impact for the environment, whatever it is, and making the impact as well as an ROI for whoever is involved. And I think it keeps both sides smiling. Engagement, or marketing should go into stakeholder engagement of initiatives or authorities that have been independent from the government doing right impact, like Masdar, like I'm just giving some examples, or the Carbon Disclosure Project in England, or the Environmental Defense Fund in New York, the Acumen Fund in New York, D-Light from San Francisco, the City Development from Peter Rue. These are COP people. They have done something. They have done something. And with these people, we can be aligned in a horizontal cooperation where then we will be faced that we do a holistic approach and we're just closing the gap, which is still missing.
Hi, Sam. If I could just jump in. Sorry.
I agree with you, Sam, 100%. Okay. Let's just an idea. Position the company as a Dubai company, and we find one of the government here to link the company to as a something, you know, so we'll be very credible.
A sponsor, Saif, a sponsor. That's what we need. We need someone who buys into it, because look, this fits, I mean, sorry to interrupt you, Saif, but this fits two strategic objectives that the UAE and Dubai have stated. One is obviously to be a center for blockchain and blockchain development, and the other is the commitment to now 2050, yeah? So, or 2030, 2050 actually. So those two things have been publicly stated by the government. And one of the things we know about this government, unlike some European governments, is that when it says it wants to do something, it generally executes pretty well. So to that point, Saif, I think, you know, it makes perfect sense to align with, you know, the appropriate sponsor stroke organizations here, yeah?
Yeah, and when I said Dubai, because we have the power here. We know the government entities, I mean, government departments, we know them all. So we can easily talk to them and explain to them. They will not think that stranger or foreigners are coming to Dubai. I'm a local, they're local, it's our country. We can easily talk to the government here. You see what I mean? I'm talking about, you mentioned NGOs earlier. Part of United Nations team is my under management here in UAE. So I have a good relationship with such NGOs. So if we need anything, I can easily talk to them and make them work for me.
If I could just jump in, I don't think we have to actually go out and seek government. I think the government will, once I learn about this, will be seeking us, to be quite honest. The challenge will be which department or which entity, quote unquote, wins the authority. And this is a risk, because if you end up having the wrong government organization taking the lead on this, it can go in a direction that we might not be ready for. And I've seen the same with
the lead.
Pardon me?
They will not take the lead. They will not take the lead on this. They're just gonna be, I know the government, how government works. They just wanna be part of it, not a part of it as a partner, but as if they're helping us. They want to put their logo, they want to mention our name, that they have contributed. Actually, they didn't contribute anything. This is the government work, but putting the logo or doing a campaign with them or announce something with them, okay? This is what they want.
Exactly. You've hit the nail on the head, Saif. I don't think there's any question about that. Although one of the things
I work for the government. I know how they work.
I do too, actually. I work for the
Dubai municipality. Yeah.
Huh?
He's the government. He's the government.
By the way, one small point, gentlemen. But we don't have a single woman on this call. Just as a point of order, I've noticed, at least as far as I can see. Some there are no pictures, but might be we should be thinking about a little bit more diversity in the team.
If I could just jump
Tahani
in.
and Irina from Zurich, they cannot today. Tahani for SPR and Irina from Zurich lawyer want to help us. Yanina from Liechtenstein lawyer want to help us. Natalia, CEO of Inverboska, she cannot today. She's too much busy.
Corona. That's
we have a lot of girls and women.
Yeah.
Actually,
Thank you, Tony, for telling me. Thank you.
I believe that the project has got three key elements that are important. One is, you can say, the tree planting itself, which is the activity. But the other one is the carbon credits, which is the result of planting the trees. And a third element I think is important, although we've been talking about government, I think it's to build community. So in community only gets built by either doing activities, marketing, articles, contributions. So I think you need to have these three or maybe potential four elements. Four elements would be, for example, let's say blockchain and AI, IoT, which would be like the transparency monitoring, because you can do the monitoring via satellite, IoT, or a combination of those. So the point is, when you put these three or four elements together, these are the building blocks of the project. And what you do is you need to have kind of a flow between these building blocks of the project. Go ahead.
Sorry, George, I didn't hear you. Can you repeat the question again?
It was actually not a question. It was kind of a statement rather than a question. What I mentioned is that the project had 4 key elements or 3 key elements. One is the tree planting, which is the activity. The other one is the carbon credits, which is the result of the planting of the activity, which is the side benefit is returned to investors. The third one is the community building, which is either the articles that we write, the marketing, or the people that we get involved in the project. And a fourth angle could be the transparency part, which is the blockchain, IoT, AI, satellite monitoring of the project, so that people can actually see in real time what is the progress of the project.
They're already doing the Inverboss actually takes the drone footage every 3 to 4 months, and they actually send a news like a quarter update. In fact, every 3 months. What has happened? Where were your trees before? What's happening when they're in the nursery stage? What happens when they get planted? And you're going to update every 3 months with a summary of potentially how many CO2 credits they have collated and how big the trees are with the measurements and everything. They actually do a thorough update every 3 months. It's a question that we asked, and they told us this is how it's done.
Well,
so we can always use that.
It's to produce the output of that. And then with that output, you create community. Do you understand? So it's not just about collecting the data, but then making the data visible so that people
So all the people that have subscribed to our channel on Telegram on the foster.eco, we're going to be sending monthly bulletins and newsletters every 3 months to update the investors of what's happening. It's going to grow. We're planning on doing that. It's not just like, oh, you bought some tree tokens and you forgot about it. No, there's going to be an update all the time, explaining what has happened, what's happening with the climate, everything.
Yeah. I think the other element that we probably should address at some time in the not too distant future is how we could use this as well to, as I was discussing with you earlier today, Jay, a route by which other businesses and organizations that are reducing, their carbon footprint. And I mentioned the example of that company that I'm working with that is producing plant-based substitutes for meat products, because we all know that sadly, I'm a non-meat eater, but sadly, meat is very, very carbon intensive when it comes to production, yeah? So I think we do need to consider in due course how we could use this platform, whether it be directly or through a kind of white label process, to help people access the same community to achieve, the carbon benefit, the footprint, etc. And you've suddenly got a double whammy because they're already saving carbon by the nature of what they're doing. And if they're part of this community, they can also be contributing to reforestation, afforestation. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're all for it. Like we discussed as well that all the communities that are trying to help the planet and they want to copy us or use our blockchain for more awareness, we're more than happy. We're not going to have any competitors in this market. We're rather going to have partners into cleaning the oceans, wind farming, planting trees, food production. We are more than happy to partner up with such companies for awareness, because we are actually addressing the problem to the world. So we might as well go into different segments with this, and we're all for it. Something that we will be doing in the future for sure.
Yeah, we can show everything. That's why we want to create a big event in March here in Dubai, invite 150 different companies who planting in trees with CO2 credits and without CO2 credits. We don't care, but we want to show what we want to do in this part of planting. If they want to take our idea, no problem, take everything. We can show you everything in Verboska, in Colombia, in different countries. That's what we do, what we want to do. We want to invite everyone and show our way. They can enjoy for us or not. It's like a white label, but we don't need to take money for this. We don't need the competitors. We need more thousands components in the world who can and want to planting the trees. It's very important. Not only Abu Dhabi, not only Dubai, Saudi, it's Georgia, it's Slovenia, Poland, it's Portuguese, Brazil, Paraguay, Colombia, New Zealand, everywhere.
Yep.
We all breathe the same air. We all eat the same food. So we might as well partner up with everybody. There's no point in having competition.
Indeed.
Guys, quick question. Why does a tree cost $100? Where do the costs come from? Because I mean, average income in Colombia, or
30
minimum
$30, not 100.
$30 per tree, but minimum buy
okay.
is $100. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, how
So
many
for that
trees
cost,
can,
it
can a
goes
Colombian worker
salaries,
plant
it
per
goes
day?
about nursing the trees, it's planting the team, it's the generators they use, it's all the fixed costs that goes. Don't forget, Andreas, it's not just they plant the tree and they go and they forget about it. It's maintaining the tree that takes time. It's the insurance that goes into it. It's the golden certification that goes into it. It's, they literally do everything from A to Z. Yes, we looked at some websites where you buy a tree for $1, $1.50, and I have no idea how it's sustainable business.
It's impossible. Yeah, it's not insurance. It's not nothing. It's just just put and go around and forget about this. No, it's not working. Yeah, it's you need to be careful 5 or 7 years after planting trees, and you need to pay $200,000 to this German company. That's they need to go into this country and create this certificate. They don't want to make gold standard for every country. No, different countries, not all. This very important. And not all trees can be
Peter made the point, which is that there. Yeah, sorry, Tony. Peter made the point, didn't he, that there are a lot of reforestation, afforestation programs that have failed because, you know, the trees were not looked after, and you end up going back and seeing them in 6 months after they've been planted, and then they're dead or they're dying. The whole point about this program is that, yes, it costs more money, but that's because you're talking about maintaining and supporting that tree during its entire life cycle. Yeah. So that's decades we're talking about. We're not talking about a 1 year plant the tree, forget about it. Yeah.
Yeah, 50 years. Really
one of the,
yeah, 50 years.
Year minimum investment. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
you can give your
investment.
token tree for your kids, for your family, and they can take money after when the CO2 credits price can go up. Price.
And the second point to bear in mind with this regarding the cost is that precisely because we're putting it on the blockchain, we have the opportunity to deliver transparency, i.e., this is, as we discussed earlier, what it looks like, how the money is being spent, and it's available and visible to everybody. So it's not like the money is being taken and we have no idea what's happening to it. Yeah.
Regarding the CO2 credits,
it's very important.
Peter, could you quickly elaborate, because I'm not up to date 100%, how this whole CO2 credit system currently works and how you guys are planning to implement the O2 token into that? This is something that's unclear to me still.
Jay, I think you can explain this.
Yeah, I think Jay is better positioned than I am as far as that.
Okay, so I don't know if you know anything about CO2 credits. It's a very straightforward step, to be honest.
Yeah,
so
just talk about how they create this certificate, how many years they need for this, what they're looking for in the company. Not only one tree, oh, eucalyptus, good, nice, but
no, it has to be done in masses. Yeah. So
yes,
the Golden Standard Group to call them to get certified is a minimum of $100,000. They're very pricey, and they advised us to actually call them every 2 to 3 years. When the trees grow, they obviously absorb more CO2 and create more oxygen. We tried to get everybody on board. We tried to get Golden Standard to come every year, but it's just not feasible for us. So big corporations like ADNOC, Delta Airlines, Emirates have a corporate social responsibility on how much CO2 credits they actually produce, because they actually they actually pollute the world. And to make up for that, they buy their CO2 credits on the marketplace. I hope that answers your question, Andreas.
Yeah, but are they used up on a yearly basis? So you need every year you need to kind of be net zero with your CO2 credits, or do they stay around the certificates forever?
No,
Look,
so
Andre,
once a VER is once a CO2 credit is used up, that's it. That one VER, which is voluntary emission reduction certificate, is equal to 1 metric ton of CO2. So let's say
Okay.
you need to offset 100 tons, that would be your clearance for the year. The next year would be additional.
And I mean,
so
right now you're talking about transparency with the blockchain, but it's kind of like combining the CO2 credits of the real world that the place in Colombia is earning kind of through us. We're investing, they get the CO2 credits, and then I get O2 credits or O2 tokens. But I have no idea how many CO2 credits are actually produced, you know, so it actually becomes a little bit more intransparent rather than transparent because it's on the blockchain, you know, it's combining two things. And the token, the O2 token, the governments or the people, let's say Shell, they want CO2 credits. They don't want O2 tokens. They don't care about the O2 tokens, you know, it's kind of like another layer on top that doesn't make sense in my head.
It is their problem. Habibi, it's their problem. It's not our problem. We're bringing the new technology in the new part of the world, and they need to come here to the new world. We don't need to go to the old world. They need to come here. We create new market. We create new world and new laws in different countries. We're talking with the government in a lot of different countries right now. And they are right now, actually, I know a lot of countries, they're working in the new law for the factory in their countries. I hope in the future, they can create a tax for each person. For example, in Dubai, they will create a new law. If you're living here, you need to pay $10 per month just for living because you create a CO2. And you need to buy somewhere. For example, it can be a decentralized exchange or a centralized exchange or application or a shop or everywhere, but you need to buy this. And we want to build this new system, certificates, license in Dubai for issue security or utility tokens. For utility we have, for security waiting, and we can after to put this on exchange, decentralized or centralized, we don't care. But I think the future is about this. All people need to pay the tax on this because they breathing every second, and they need to pay.
But it's not really.
Yes, now you're right. A lot of companies
I think
tokens. No, but not in the future.
Andre, I think, Andre, the point is this, right? That we are treading into new territory here. So maybe we don't have all of the questions answered, but the critical point is this. There is a well-established, mature market for trading carbon credits that's been around for years. That market is going to continue and grow dramatically because of various agreements that have been reached both during COP26 and previously. What that means is that we are now going to participate in that market in a meaningful way and realize value from participating in that market. Okay, the mechanism as to how that's linked to an O2 token, we can, that detail is being figured out as we speak, but at the end of the day, the critical point is you're generating CO2 credits, which are worth money. And it's worth money because somebody is auditing it and saying it's worth money. And that can be sold to all of these polluting companies because they need to buy them. They have no choice. They either have to buy them because they are legislated to buy them. So for example, in the European Union, everybody who is a CO2 polluter has now by law to offset some of that CO2. They have to buy carbon credits, or they do it voluntarily because they want to show that they're actually doing something to help save the planet. So, I mean, there is no question that that market for carbon credits is both established and going to grow dramatically because of what's going on globally at the moment, yeah? And so our ability to be able to tap into that using this is twofold. One, because, we've got carbon credits to sell, and two, because you've got a market that's readily available to sell them. So, you've got a perfect scenario. Yes, you can argue the case about how transparent and what is the link between, but that will all become clear in due course. I think the important point is that it has this additional benefit. You're not just doing good for the environment, you're also generating economic opportunity for the business because you're generating something that's worth money, yeah? Tangible dollars.
Green dollars.
Okay, yep, so that's, okay. I mean, the technical side of things is always as important as the whole organization part of it, because I mean, at the end of the day, if we use blockchain technology is about, we can trust the technology, you know, you don't need to know and verify. And if we use technology, it should be properly used.
Yes, and we will use it properly. We're going to have full transparency on this, Andreas.
Yeah, and I think I think we all welcome the question, Andreas. That's exactly why we're having the call. And, you know, we need to keep probing this, because you're quite right. We cannot afford to have a situation where we end up having any lack of transparency or confusion, because that's the point at which people start pointing fingers and saying, hey, this isn't credible. Yeah.
Jay, I have 2 questions actually. From transparency and marketing perspective, you spoke about the quarterly update or report.
Yes.
Can we do this on the website, where actually customers and visitors or whomever they visit the website or interested to see our project, see actually live what we're doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can see in dashboard accounts. Yeah. It will create a platform and application. They can see inside what happened everywhere in application. Yeah.
Saif, answering your question, we actually asked this while we were in Colombia, because the Charo region is very, very remote area, and the internet connection it's non-existent, to be honest. We were literally sitting there with no internet for 3-4 days until we got to the other region. So we asked if we can have a live camera or a live kind of feed. They said it's possible. It will cost you some money to set up the satellite and the internet, but they said in return, why don't you just do 3 months updates, because they have proper drone footage with proper HD camera, and they actually summarize what's happening in the project. She said, Natalia actually advised us, if you want to have a live feed, it's something that we can look into, but that's if the investor is requested. Of course, we will do it. We also have another way of doing it. If you're a proper investor in Foster, we actually fly you out to the forest to see for yourself how much land you have purchased and the trees that you have bought, which we're also planning on doing this year and next year as well with the whole team and all our investors. It'll be a fantastic tool for everyone to see, understand, and feel what the money that they're actually investing in.
As long as we carbon offset the journey.
This is very good, Jay, but it has to be reflected on our social media accounts and our campaigns, just to give credibility and transparency to people. My second question.
Say we have a lot of ideas, and trust me, Dasus was one of them. We will have that. It's on our dashboard. It's going to be the buy button. It's going to be the videos, the interviews, the update of every. We're really planning on integrating this whole infrastructure.
This is good. My second question.
What about a picture? Sorry, what about a picture a day? Sorry to interrupt you, Saif, but just very quickly before we forget this, what about a still picture a day that allows for time-lapse development? Because once every 3 months is not going to be enough, I don't think. So you don't have to have live video feed. No one wants to, you can't watch a tree grow in a live video feed. But if you take a picture a day or a picture every other day, you can do a really nice time lapse of what's happening.
Yes.
Yeah, that may be a thought.
We could do that. They actually have towers where you can actually take pictures from where the ranges are actually based. So something we can look into 100%.
Yeah, Jay, my second question.
To get more credibility.
Can we link to something like, I don't know, banks or something to help us sell?
Sell what? Sorry, banks for what?
Just can we link to banks or some, I don't know, some retailers or some brokers or something to help us sell the, our product as a distributor or something?
Safe to selling a token tree or selling or different tokens for what?
Selling, let's say selling a certificate, it depends how much people invested. Like, for example, with banks, they have investment department, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like private banking and stuff like that. In private banking, they sell everything. They sell shares, they sell gold, they sell, you know what I mean? So can we somehow work with them to put our products there to sell as well?
Yes, easy. 1,000 application want to put our token tree in their application and selling token tree. After they can selling a O2 plus tokens. A lot of applications in the world want to do it, include in their business this part.
I'm not talking about application, Anton.
Okay, it's about banks, it's about governments, it's the same. Yes, of course, we can give them the link to help us to sell token tree or O2 plus. Yeah, we have ideas about it.
But let's be a little careful here, folks, because I know, sadly, from 35 years in banking, that banks are very careful about what they will sell because they need to have something that's a licensed and regulated product, otherwise they get into trouble. So one of the challenges we will face is, if they're recommending to their clients that an investment is made, they're accountable for that recommendation. So we need to be a little cautious about how we approach that, because at the moment, this product isn't licensed or regulated fully as an investment product, yeah, which is what a bank will want if they want to go sell it, yeah. That's the challenge you're going to face if they're formally going to put it in and recommend it.
Well, Alan, what about, because we're about to get licensed in Dubai, we're going to open up a foster office. This is in our roadmap. We're planning on doing that by Dubai municipality.
Yeah, I'm talking about being licensed as an investment product, yeah, because if you think about what banks advise, they advise investment into funds, they advise investment into, you know, currencies, whatever. Most of the products,
let's give the license first, and maybe then we'll discuss this point.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
But who gives the license? Which authority here?
Usually the Financial Services Authority for the country in question. Yeah. So it will, and it's also down to what the bank wants to do to a certain extent. But most banks are not known for taking risks.
No,
That's
I'm
the
not
challenge,
talking
yeah.
about the banks now. I'm just, Jay said first we need to.
So it's going to be done by DMCC. It's going to be in the crypto center. That's what
we want to. Yeah, we want to do it in DMCC, and actually we can see that James Bernard is enjoy to our discuss. Hi, James.
Yeah,
he's here from DMCC.
Hi guys, thanks for having me. I just thought I'd pop in and say hello.
Hi James, welcome to Foster.
Thank you very much.
Hey,
nice
James.
to see you all.
Hello.
It's interesting to hear everything. So yeah, we'd be delighted to license you.
Yeah, so to that point, Saif, I think you're absolutely right. We need to figure out how we multiply the effect by using third parties to help spread the word. I just am not completely convinced, sadly, having worked all this time in banking, that banks are the right route to take, yeah? Because they've just got too many bloody constraints on what they can and cannot do, yeah?
Bank was just an example, my friend.
Yeah, sure, understood. I think Tony is right. The way we do it is we go out and we spread the word through, you know, other organizations, other, you know, forums, other partners, etc. There's plenty of others who've got great footprint and great reach that would be very, very interested in doing that, I'm sure, yeah.
Hi everyone, it's Arina Heaver. Just to mention, there are several parties out there that specifically what they do is that they help to get the reach of your token to potential investors, right? We're not talking about banks. Yes, they're very difficult to work with, and that's not something that they will do, promote the tokens. But for example, just easy, right? The first thing that comes to mind, AIBC Summit in March, 20,000 people coming from all over the world. You all know Iman Pulis, he's very easy to reach. Let's get him to promote Foster token through all their huge network, and he'll be more than happy to do that. Like, that's just one of the examples, right?
Hello guys, anyone there?
Yeah, we're listening.
I think, Irina, that makes perfect sense. And that's exactly what I was thinking about. Anything where we can appeal to, and not just the crypto and blockchain community, but, you know, this is something that appeals globally. So, you know, there are a lot of forums where I think this could very, you know, whether it be, and Peter may be better positioned to comment on this than I am, but, you know, there are numerous conferences, exhibitions, meetings, etc., taking place, all focused on this challenge that we face. You know, same thing should be true here. We can get speaking slots, we can get you know, visibility, we can get, you know, the footprint that we need to be present at these events. And I think that's really going to be a very powerful way to get the message out there.
I'll be happy to reserve the speaking slot on the main stage. Let me just send them an email right now saying there is an amazing project, give them the main stage speaking slot. So here you go, you know, done.
Great. Perfect.
Hope you don't get stage fright, Jay.
Just another thought in terms of, you know, Dubai and UAE being a focus of this, or the home for this, is the fact that we're hosting COP28, you know, for Paris Accord in a number of years. So the government and the country will want to be showing some really unique and significant contributions to this issue of global climate change. And I think this is really a gift. We really help them a lot. And I think we can expect, I would anticipate there'll be a lot of support from within the country, which is already a very active country that, like somebody else mentioned, they move quickly when they see an idea that they support. And I think this is one that there's multiple benefits for them as well to facilitate this in a good way. That's my feeling. I don't know, Saif, you have a lot of experience here too. What do you think?
Yes, true. This is exactly what I meant by doing something with one of the government entity. Just exactly what you said.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Saif, but there's a lady who is the Minister for Climate Change, is there not? She's also the Minister of Food Sustainability, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Correct. I don't know whether you know her or whether you've got a connection with her, but Peter, I would imagine if it did. Yeah.
I've met her a couple of times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry?
I mean, she would seem to me to be the ideal person to approach about this if we had the opportunity.
And from what I've seen and met with her, sorry, Saif, she's very open. She wants to do the good thing. She communicates quite clearly. She's very accessible. So she's got a lot of attributes that make this seem like it could be quite feasible. I've seen her at technology events where, let's say, the government of Holland is demonstrating or showing some new technology. She goes in there and she learns as much as she can about it. And if she likes it, she's there to support it. So yeah, I think
it's not very hard to get, you know, to her and speak to her. Just like we need also to finish our homework. We get the license, we do our campaign. Okay, we tell everybody that we're officially there legally. You know what I mean? So people can trust us. Then it will be easy to approach her and start from there.
Yes, yes.
Yes. One step at a time.
Yeah, exactly right. I think you hit the nail on the head, son.
Okay, great, guys. Well, I think all the questions have been answered, I hope, from everybody. Any more additional questions? Anybody?
Yes, I have questions. How many trees we need to plant, Peter, to change the climate?
Anton.
Anton.
Are you asking how many?
A lot.
Saif, you know why I'm asking you.
I know.
Yes, it's very hard questions for me. Yes, I want to know everything in this year about this. I know to talking with all professional people in different countries of how many trees we need to plant. Not only we. Chinese want to plant 100 billion trees till 2050. Saudi want to plant 55 billions. They're waiting from other. Dmitry already sent presentation for them yesterday because they wait 1 month from us. The presentation they want to working with us and planting 55 billions because of course they have a lot of money and want to bring good for the planet. How many trees we need to plant? Not only we but all people to change the climate.
So, yeah. So I'll just respond in a different way. Tree planting is only one way. Seagrass actually is a stronger and faster, more effective way of sequestering carbon than trees are. So are salt marshes. Salt marshes trap more CO2 than trees do. So trees are, I think, ranked number 5. So if the person in the country or whoever wants to try and change the climate for the better, reduce CO2 emissions or the amount that's circulating in the atmosphere or other greenhouse gases, tree planting is only one way. I mean, there's many other ways. Soils are as important, if not more important, protecting the north, because that's where the permafrost is. If that melts and the wetlands start to leak methane gases, then we got a lot of issues. So it's more than just, trees aren't a magic bullet. There's many things that we do. So if you respond that way, then they'll understand it's much more complicated than simply planting trees. And then planting trees themselves, it depends on which species you plant. It depends on, you know, the climate, because its ability to sequester carbon dioxide changes as it gets older, but it also fluctuates annually from year to year. It's like anything. It has its good seasons and its bad seasons. Sometimes plants flower, sometimes they don't. There's too many variables to actually come up with a single number that really makes sense. And it also depends on whether we continue to pump out all these greenhouse gases. If we continue to build and grow and industrialize where we are, then our estimate, even if it's accurate, of let's say 10 billion trees may be wrong because we continue to expand our industries. So there's just so many variables. And if you want to look at science specifically, I don't know how many people are aware of this, but I saw one study done by the University of Hawaii that we may, as science, only have identified 20% of all species on the planet. So we don't even know most of the species on the planet, let alone how they interact with each other, and let alone the impact that they have on ecosystems like climate. It's really, I'll just say it's complicated.
It's
huge.
Unlimited. Okay, good.
Comes to
Yeah.
mind.
I like it. It's unlimited. Yeah. Stefan came. Stefan, your question, your time. Yeah. Because we discussed 1 hour and 15 minutes and yeah.
Hi guys. I have one question about the project, and that's next to the planting trees, are there any activities planned to engage and to support the community or in the region?
Yes, so we discussed that. So in Colombia region, there's a lot of indigenous tribes, and the way that they take care of the crops is not the modern way. Peter, if you can elaborate on how they burn their fields and thinking that it's gonna harvest more crops. Can we discuss that for Stefan to understand? Yeah.
I mean, fire has been a traditional tool by indigenous peoples around the world to manage their environments a lot. So, for example, in North America, what the indigenous people would do is that they would light fires to create what they call ecotones, which are transitional areas between, let's say, a grassland and a forest. These become extremely productive areas. And so they wanted to manage and ensure that they're there, and also use the fire to prevent fuel from building up too much in the forest, because if the forest fire, or if a fire does hit and you've got too much fuel in there, it becomes uncontrollable. And then you start to hear about the forest fires that, you know, consume hundreds of thousands of hectares. Using fire, you can minimize this risk as well. And fire releases a lot of nutrients into the soil as well. You lose some into the atmosphere, but a lot of the plant species that live in that zone are specifically adapted to fire. So they need a fire in order to germinate and to actually grow further. So there's many different ways that fire benefits and is used. Short term, it may look a bit shocking, but long-term, fire is actually can be quite useful in terms of facilitating carbon sequestration.
Yeah.
Keep the forest young and growing well.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys. Any more questions? Should we wrap this up, or?
I think today enough.
Enough. Okay. Well.
So Anton, how many trees do we need?
100
I think it's unlimited. Yeah, we can working in this part minimum 30 years, minimum 50 years, and we need to plant a lot of trees.
I'd say one tree at a time.
We don't.
The question is how many, not how many trees, Anton. The question is, what would be our contribution, the percentage, our cut? You know what I mean?
on the
Tokens
global
is trivial
scale.
to say.
On the next Zoom we can discuss about this. Yeah.
It's a good question. We will refer back to you. We need to do the calculations on that on a global scale. So
Yeah.
Well, we're really going to know when the climate starts to get a little bit better. Then we'll know. We can look back.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you guys.
All right, thank you guys. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Good to see you all.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Hope to see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.